Are your erections softer than they used to be? Do you wake up tired even after a full night in bed? Many men over 50 tell me they think this is just aging. It's not that simple. I'm a board-certified urologist, and I've helped thousands of men restore performance, energy, and deep sleep naturally. Tonight's timing may be the missing piece. Tell me where you're watching from, and consider subscribing if you value honest men's health guidance. But here's what most people don't realize. Your body is not declining randomly. It's following a rhythm. And if that rhythm gets disrupted, everything you care about as a man over 50, your strength, your clarity, your erections, your confidence, begins to quietly fade. When I sit with men in my clinic, especially men in their late 50s, 60s, even early 70s, I often hear the same sentence spoken in different ways. "Doctor, I just don't feel like myself anymore." And when they say that, they're not only talking about sex, they're talking about waking up tired, losing drive, feeling flat, like the engine is running, but there's no power behind it. They think something is broken. But what many don't understand is that your body does most of its rebuilding at night. During the day, you're in output mode. You're thinking, moving, digesting, reacting. But at night, when the lights are off and your eyes are closed, that's when the real repair begins. Hormones reset, blood vessels relax, tissues restore, your nervous system shifts into recovery. And testosterone, the hormone that drives erection strength, energy, muscle tone, even mood, is not produced evenly throughout the day. It rises during sleep, specifically during deep sleep. That slow restorative stage most men over 50 struggle to reach consistently. If your sleep is shallow, broken, or restless, testosterone drops. And when testosterone drops, erections weaken, energy fades, motivation declines. But here's the part most doctors never explain clearly. Erections themselves are a nighttime event. Healthy men experience several erections during deep sleep. These are called nocturnal erections. They are not sexual, they are not driven by desire, they are vascular exercises. Your body is sending oxygen-rich blood into the penile tissue, stretching it, nourishing it, keeping it elastic and responsive. It's like maintenance for your most sensitive vascular tissue. When those nighttime erections fade because sleep is fragmented or hormones are low, the tissue receives less oxygen. Over time, it becomes less responsive, less firm, slower to react. Now let's connect the dots in a way that makes sense. Poor sleep leads to lower testosterone. Lower testosterone leads to fewer nighttime erections. Fewer nighttime erections lead to reduced tissue health, and that leads to weaker daytime performance. It becomes a quiet cycle, and most men think the problem starts in the bedroom with their partner. Often, it starts in the bedroom at 2 a.m., when your body should be rebuilding, but isn't. Nighttime is when your body releases growth hormone. That hormone supports tissue repair and fat metabolism. Nighttime is when your blood vessels are meant to relax and restore flexibility. Nighttime is when cortisol, your stress hormone, should fall to its lowest level. And nighttime is when nitric oxide pathways reset, preparing your circulation for the next day. If your body doesn't have the building blocks it needs during that window, repair slows down, not dramatically, not suddenly, but gradually, quietly. I tell my patients to think of nighttime as construction time. The workers show up, the lights are on, the blueprints are ready, but if the materials aren't delivered, if certain nutrients are missing, nothing gets built. One overlooked factor in men over 50 is nutrient depletion. As we age, absorption declines. The stomach produces less acid. The intestines become less efficient. Stress increases mineral loss through urine. Many common medications, blood pressure pills, acid reducers, even some diabetes drugs interfere with mineral balance. Magnesium levels drop. Zinc stores decline. Vitamin D becomes insufficient, and when certain minerals are low, sleep becomes lighter, muscles stay tense, blood vessels constrict instead of relax, testosterone signaling weakens at the cellular level. You might fall asleep, but you don't reach that deep, hormone-restoring stage often enough. And this is where timing becomes powerful, because taking the right nutrient at the right time can support the very processes that rebuild you overnight, not by forcing performance, not by acting like a stimulant, but by restoring the internal environment your body needs to do what it was designed to do. However, this only works if you understand which vitamin truly supports this nighttime repair process and which common supplement most men take that does almost nothing for erections despite the marketing. And now we're getting to the part where most men get it wrong. But here's what most people don't realize. The vitamin that can quietly change your erections and your sleep isn't even a vitamin at all. It's a mineral, and it's one that most men over 50 are running low on without ever knowing it. The nutrient I'm talking about is magnesium. Magnesium matters because it relaxes blood vessels, supports testosterone production, and deepens sleep quality at the same time. Very few nutrients influence all three of those systems together. That's why I pay such close attention to it in my patients. Let's break this down in simple terms. Your erections depend on a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is like a signal. It tells your blood vessels to relax and open. When those vessels open, blood flows smoothly into the penile tissue. That steady, trapped blood flow is what creates firmness. Magnesium helps regulate nitric oxide production. When magnesium levels are healthy, blood vessels respond better. They open more easily, circulation improves. But when magnesium is low, blood vessels tend to stay tighter. They don't relax fully. Circulation weakens, and erections often become softer, slower, less reliable. Now here's the part many men miss. Magnesium doesn't just affect blood flow, it also affects stress. Magnesium reduces cortisol, your primary stress hormone. And even if you don't feel stressed, many men over 50 live in a constant low-grade stress state. Work, finances, health concerns, family responsibilities, it adds up. Over time, your body stays slightly tense. Cortisol stays slightly elevated. High cortisol directly interferes with testosterone production. So if cortisol stays high at night, testosterone struggles to rise the way it should during deep sleep. And if testosterone doesn't rise, your nocturnal erections decrease. That quiet repair cycle we talked about earlier becomes weaker. Magnesium helps calm this process. It activates GABA receptors in the brain. GABA is your calming chemical. When GABA works properly, your brain shifts into a relaxed state. Your muscles loosen, your breathing slows, you fall asleep faster. More importantly, you reach deeper stages of sleep. And deep sleep is when testosterone peaks. So now magnesium is working at two levels, improving blood vessel relaxation and helping your brain enter the very stage of sleep where hormonal repair happens. But here's something important that I explain carefully to my patients. Not all magnesium is absorbed well. There are different forms. Magnesium oxide is very common in cheap supplements, but it's poorly absorbed. Much of it passes through the body without being used. Many men take it and feel no difference because their cells never truly receive enough. Magnesium citrate is better absorbed. However, it can pull water into the intestines and cause loose stools in some men. For certain people, that's useful. But if you're taking it at night and waking up uncomfortable, it defeats the purpose. Magnesium glycinate is one of my preferred forms for men over 50. It's bound to glycine, an amino acid that has calming properties. It's gentle on the stomach. It supports relaxation. It's less likely to cause digestive issues. And taken in the evening, it aligns beautifully with the body's natural wind-down rhythm. Magnesium threonate is another interesting form. It crosses into the brain more effectively and may support cognitive clarity and memory. For men concerned about focus and mental sharpness, this form can be helpful, but it's often more expensive. For men dealing with both sleep issues and weaker erections, magnesium glycinate taken in the evening is often where I start, and timing truly matters. When taken at night, magnesium supports muscle relaxation. It may help lower nighttime blood pressure slightly. It improves the chances of entering deep sleep. It supports a healthier testosterone rhythm, and indirectly it encourages stronger nocturnal erections. But here's what most men never connect. Magnesium also affects insulin sensitivity. When your body becomes resistant to insulin, blood vessels become inflamed and stiff. That damage doesn't just affect the heart, it affects penile arteries too. And because those arteries are smaller, they show symptoms sooner. Poor insulin sensitivity damages blood vessels. Damaged vessels mean weaker erections. Magnesium helps improve insulin signaling at the cellular level. It makes your cells more responsive. That reduces vascular strain over time. So magnesium works at multiple levels: nervous system, hormones, circulation, metabolic balance. It's not a stimulant. It doesn't force anything. It doesn't override your body. It restores balance so your body can function the way it was designed to. And this is critical because forced stimulation without strong vascular health eventually fails. You can't out-supplement damaged blood vessels. However, magnesium alone won't solve everything if one other hormone is quietly out of balance. And this is where most doctors stop the conversation, but I don't. But here's what most people don't realize. The next nutrient that affects your erections doesn't act like a simple vitamin. It behaves more like a hormone inside your body. And when it's low, the signal for strength, drive, and firmness becomes weaker. The second nutrient I want you to understand is vitamin D. Many men think vitamin D is only for bones. They picture it as something that prevents fractures or supports calcium. That's only part of the story. In the male body, vitamin D acts like a hormone. It influences testosterone production. It supports immune balance. And it protects the inner lining of your blood vessels. And here's the truth I see again and again in my practice. Men over 50 are commonly deficient. Why does this happen? First, there's less sun exposure. Many men spend more time indoors as they age, working inside, driving, watching television in the evening. Second, aging skin produces less vitamin D from the same amount of sunlight. Third, higher body fat can trap vitamin D, making less of it available in circulation. And finally, certain medications and chronic conditions interfere with its activation. The result is subtle but powerful. Low vitamin D levels are strongly associated with lower testosterone. They're also linked to higher inflammation, poorer erectile function, and persistent fatigue. Not the kind of fatigue where you can't get out of bed, but the quiet kind, the dull edge that makes you feel half-charged all day. Now here's something many men have never been told. Vitamin D receptors are found in the testes, the very place where testosterone is produced. That means vitamin D doesn't just support testosterone indirectly, it directly influences the cells responsible for making it. When vitamin D levels are optimized, testosterone production often improves naturally, not dramatically overnight, but steadily, gradually, in a way that feels stable rather than forced. But there's another layer to this. Erections are a vascular event. They depend on blood vessels opening smoothly and staying open long enough to maintain firmness. The inner lining of those blood vessels is called the endothelium. Think of it as the smooth surface inside a pipe that allows fluid to flow freely. If the endothelium becomes inflamed or stiff, blood flow suffers. And because penile arteries are smaller than coronary arteries, they show symptoms earlier. Vitamin D helps protect endothelial function. It reduces inflammation. It supports nitric oxide pathways, the same pathways magnesium helps regulate. When these systems work together, blood vessels respond more efficiently. So now you can see how vitamin D fits into the bigger picture. Magnesium helps relax vessels and calm the nervous system at night. Vitamin D supports hormonal signaling and vascular health throughout the day, but timing matters. Vitamin D is fat-soluble. That means it absorbs best when taken with food that contains healthy fats. Many men take it in the morning with breakfast. That's perfectly fine. However, here's the nuance I explain carefully to my patients. If your sleep cycle is disrupted, your first priority may be restoring deep sleep. Nighttime magnesium can help create that foundation. Once sleep improves and your body begins reaching deeper restorative stages again, your testosterone rhythm stabilizes. When that rhythm stabilizes, vitamin D can work more effectively because the hormonal environment is healthier. In some men, taking vitamin D too late at night may interfere with melatonin production, the hormone that signals your brain it's time to sleep. Not everyone experiences this, but I've seen it enough to mention it. So the simple structure I often guide men with is this. Vitamin D earlier in the day, ideally with a meal containing healthy fats. Magnesium in the evening, about an hour before bed. That structure supports both daytime hormonal signaling and nighttime repair. But here's where we need to zoom out for a moment. Testosterone is not just about taking one or two supplements, it's about rhythm, sleep depth, stress control, circulation, nutrient availability, hormonal balance. If you only raise vitamin D but ignore sleep, the system is incomplete. If you only take magnesium but ignore inflammation, the system is incomplete. Everything is connected. And there's one more mineral that quietly protects testosterone from being converted into something that weakens drive and firmness over time. If that piece is missing, even good sleep and solid vitamin D levels may not fully restore what you're hoping to regain. And this is where most men over 50 silently struggle without ever realizing why. But here's what most people don't realize. Even if you improve your sleep and raise your vitamin D levels, testosterone can still quietly decline if one critical mineral is missing. And this is the piece many men over 50 overlook. The third nutrient you must understand is zinc. Zinc matters because it directly supports testosterone production and protects reproductive tissue health. It's not just a general immune mineral. In men, zinc plays a deeply specific role in hormonal strength and prostate function. Zinc is heavily concentrated in the prostate and the testes. That alone should tell you something. The body doesn't store nutrients in high amounts in certain tissues unless they serve an important purpose there. When zinc levels are low, testosterone drops, sperm quality declines, immune function weakens, and prostate inflammation may increase over time. Now, I'm not talking about severe deficiency that causes obvious illness. I'm talking about mild chronic insufficiency, the kind that slowly dulls performance, the kind that doesn't trigger alarms on standard lab tests, but still affects how you feel. Men over 50 often become mildly zinc deficient for several reasons. First, stomach acid declines with age. Zinc requires adequate stomach acid for proper absorption. If acid is low, less zinc enters circulation. Second, digestive changes occur. The gut lining may not absorb nutrients as efficiently as it once did. Third, many medications, especially acid reducers and certain blood pressure drugs, interfere with mineral absorption. And finally, dietary intake often shifts. Red meat consumption decreases in some men, processed foods increase, soil depletion affects mineral content in produce. Over time, zinc stores drop. Now here's why that matters so much. Zinc plays a direct role in the enzyme pathways that convert cholesterol into testosterone. Testosterone doesn't appear out of nowhere. Your body builds it step by step from cholesterol through a series of enzymatic reactions. Zinc is required for several of those steps. Without adequate zinc, that conversion slows. It's like trying to run a factory line with missing tools. The workers are there, the raw material is there, but production decreases. But here's something even more important, and this is rarely explained clearly. Zinc also helps regulate an enzyme called aromatase. Aromatase converts testosterone into estrogen. Yes, men produce estrogen too. In small amounts, it plays useful roles. But as men age, aromatase activity tends to increase. That means a larger portion of your testosterone is converted into estrogen, When that shift happens, you may notice fatigue, lower libido, weaker erections, increased belly fat, a softer feeling overall. It's not that your body stops making testosterone completely, it's that more of it is being converted away from its primary function. Zinc helps moderate that conversion. It doesn't block it entirely, that wouldn't be healthy, but it helps keep the balance from tipping too far. So now you can see the layered effect. Magnesium supports relaxation, vascular function, and deep sleep. Vitamin D supports hormonal signaling and endothelial health. Zinc supports the actual production of testosterone and protects it from excessive conversion. Each one plays a different role in the same system. Now let's talk about timing. Should zinc be taken at night? It can be taken in the evening, but not on an empty stomach. Zinc can cause nausea if taken alone. I've had patients try it before bed without food and wake up feeling uncomfortable. That's not what we want. For many men, pairing zinc with dinner works well, then taking magnesium about an hour before bed allows the calming effect to support sleep onset. Vitamin D is often best earlier in the day with a meal that contains healthy fats. This simple structure respects your body's natural rhythm. But I need to say something important here. This is not about mega dosing. More is not better. Balance matters. Too much zinc can interfere with copper balance and create other problems. We're supporting physiology, not overwhelming it. When used appropriately, magnesium supports relaxation and blood flow. Vitamin D supports hormonal signaling and inflammation control. Zinc supports testosterone production and hormonal balance. Together, they create a supportive internal environment, not stimulation, not force, support. And when that environment improves, your body often responds in a way that feels natural. Erections become steadier, sleep deepens, morning energy improves, confidence rises, not because something artificial is pushing it, but because your internal systems are functioning more efficiently. But this only works if sleep becomes deep enough to trigger the full hormonal cascade. If stress remains high and sleep remains shallow, the system cannot fully reset. And that's where we bring everything together, because knowing the nutrients is one thing. Using them in a way that restores your rhythm is something else entirely. But here's what most people don't realize. Nothing we talked about tonight is about turning you into someone you're not. It's about helping you return to who you already are. When we started, I asked you if your erections feel softer and your sleep feels shallow, that quiet frustration, that private worry at 2 a.m. Many men assume it's just aging, something to accept, something to work around, but now you can see the pattern more clearly. Nighttime is when your body restores itself, when magnesium relaxes your nervous system and allows you to drop into deeper sleep, when zinc protects the very pathways that build testosterone, when vitamin D supports the hormonal signals that keep your blood vessels strong and responsive. This isn't about forcing performance with stimulation. It's about restoring the conditions that allow performance to happen naturally. I've seen men in their 60s and 70s regain steady erections and deeper sleep, not by chasing quick fixes, but by rebuilding their internal rhythm, by respecting the biology their body still follows. Your body is not broken. It may simply be under-supported. And when you give it the right nutrients at the right time, repair begins quietly. Morning energy feels steadier, erections feel more dependable, sleep feels deeper, confidence returns quietly too, and that calm strength, the one you thought was fading, can come back in a way that feels natural, stable, and fully yours. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to stay connected. This channel is built for men over 50 who want calm, honest answers, not hype, not quick fixes. If you value steady, science-based guidance that respects your experience and your dignity, consider subscribing and becoming part of this community. And tell me where you're watching from. I truly do read those comments. Your health, your energy, your confidence are not gone. They're waiting to be restored. In the next video, I'll show you one common nighttime habit that silently lowers testosterone and how to correct it.